setup in India. Ford as an organization has invested in automating their vehicles, centralizing the systems which are running in the computers or the microchip of the PCs, and a lot of the software development also happens out of Chennai in India and also in Gujarat. So currently they have two factories. The factory in Gujarat rolls out cars, and the factory in Chennai rolls out engines. And Ford as a company has done a lot of research in coming out with new types of engines. And in fact, Ford engines are one of the best engines after the Japanese manufacturers. And they're pretty, cars are also very nice for Indian conditions. They have a huge market. India is a very big consumer market. So in such a situation, why Ford will decide to fold? They have already made official statement that they will be shutting down both operations. First with car, which is going to be this year itself. They will stop manufacturing cars in India. And next year, they will stop exporting engines out of India. While I think they have a huge setup, and I have personally managed Ford account for a corporate company when I was employed in that company. And I know exactly what is the kind of setup they have in India and Germany, and the dependency of Indian setup on Germany as well as in US. The Ford in India also have a finance company. So when they say that they're folding their manufacturing, it means, personally, I feel that they cannot just ignore such a big market in India. I personally believe that it is changing gear, because they are an automobile company, and India is actually marching towards the EV revolution. If you look at the EV adaptability in India, it was 0.3% last year, and it is 1.3% this year. And it is estimated by end of this year, it will reach 3%, which is still lower than the global average, but still it is rapidly moving very, very fast. From 3%, 0.3% to 1.3 within 1 year. And by end of this year, it will be 3%. It's a huge jump if you look at the percentage wise. So this is a policy-driven development which is happening in India, where the Indian government wants more and more EVs to be on the road, so that they can save a lot of foreign exchange in terms of not importing the crude oil from oil producing countries. And India is the best market for EV because there's a lot of electric possibilities, electric generation possibility from unconventional methods. So I think this is where the India is heading. There are internal targets has been set up, and there are some policy changes that has happened in India, which is with regard to the scrappage policy. In fact, we did a video about how scrappage policy is going to help the EV revolution in India. So more and more people will actually be adapting the electric vehicle, which are much cheaper to run, much cheaper to own, etc. So I think these are the few things which are happening, and therefore I don't see as a businessman any reason to continue manufacturing your internal combustion engine and the cars which are run by this internal combustion engines. So that means there is no need to run these manufacturing plants. And before they, as a Ford being a very large organization, before they actually move to the next level of introducing new types of car, they have to basically do a phased manner shutdown of the current operation. So I think this announcement about Ford shutting down their manufacturing units in India is not the way it looks like, or the way some of my colleagues are interpreting. It is not that they are moving out. I think they are changing gear. They are preparing themselves for the EV revolution. And it is it doesn't make any sense to ignore such a big market for vehicles, in which is a market like India. So I think they are going to introduce their electric vehicle. That means there will be new plants which they will launch. Where they will launch, we don't know, because I think in a setup like India, there will be state governments. There are 29 states now, including union territories. So whichever states actually give them better deal in order to come up with an electric vehicle plant, electric charge station, battery manufacturing units, etc. They will set up their new manufacturing units in those states. So I think there is more exciting times that we will expect, more investment, more new types of jobs which will open up from Ford, because as I said, personally, I know that the Ford is having a huge setup in India, and they already have a lot of software, because future cars, in fact current cars in the US and also in India, are microprocessor controlled, and there is a Ford has a setup where you can actually call a call center, and the health of the car can be monitored remotely. So they have a SIM-based system which is already fitted in the car. So Ford is quite ahead. I know personally their cars are quite advanced. And if they're shutting down their India operation, it doesn't mean that they're shutting down everything, because they have many things happening in India. So I think from my side, I like to provide this input to all of you viewers, that the news is about shutting down manufacturing of the current cars, and they already have inventory. So they want to exhaust this inventory and stop manufacturing so that they can launch new cars, because as a business, you need to also exhaust your inventory. The Indian engine manufacturing unit is exporting manufactured good quality engines to other countries. So I think they have the inventory, they want to get rid of it. They don't want to produce more, because the future is electric, and they will migrate gradually into electric revolution. So before I end the video, friends, do engage with me, send me your messages, and if you think what I said make any sense, write in. Or if you have any other opinion, please also respond as part of your messages, because we are live right now, and we are live on multiple social media platforms. Before I end this video, a word from our sponsor.
This video is sponsored by Performance Works International.
Are you ready for the challenges facing the modern workplace? Recent events have taught us the importance of transformation. Businesses now face a perfect storm of challenges. No business is too big to fail, and many are too slow to succeed. Our workforce is changing fast. We're entering a new age of empowerment, and everyone can contribute. The Inner CEO reveals how we can all play a part in making leading at all levels a reality. Written by Jeremy Blaine, an expert on business transformation and growth, it provides a roadmap to help everyone unleash their inner CEO and contribute beyond their job role, whatever their level. Traditionally, strategy has been owned by the few. Now it's time for the many to contribute. Leadership must come from a broader base. Everyone has the potential to step up and make things happen. It's a new model of collective and collaborative leadership which unleashes the power of people, enabled by appropriate technology and a supportive management structure. The book provides a roadmap for a bold new age of empowerment. Supported by a range of resources, the book provides a toolkit to help anyone unleash their inner CEO. Organisation health, development and growth is owned at all levels. Are you ready to unleash the inner CEO?
Hello friends, this is Akul Mac Live. My name is Chandrakant. As we all know that there is a new type of space race brewing up in our world today. We are already planning to have a manned mission to Mars. There'll be a base camp on Moon. There could be new hotels coming up, floating in the space in the lower Earth orbit for future tourism. A whole lot of things are happening. Right now, the entire world is under lockdown or confined to work from home scenario. But once it opens up, we will not be able to recognize our world. It will be totally different place. As there are a lot of interest at play, and this pandemic is not stopping people from taking action and changing our world. So this is something that we want to discuss. To discuss this subject, we have a very distinguished guest joining us from UK. So stick around, friends, for this outstanding show which is coming up. But before we start the discussion, I must tell you that there is a new feature. You see a QR code right here. This QR code will be visible throughout the length of the video. And it's a very, very user-friendly way to get connected with us. All you have to do is point your camera towards this QR code and you will get connected to our channel. So I'll be back in a moment after a short break. Don't go anywhere, as this outstanding show is going to start just in a moment. Welcome back, friends. And as I said earlier, the subject of today's discussion is the space race. And to discuss this very important subject, let me invite our guest today in the studio, Mr. Naval Gun.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. Space race. Are you a Trekkie? Or are you into Star Wars? Is that reality or perception going to come reality, or reality be perception? I mean, who knows? Some people think that we're in the space arena already. Maybe a few of you are aliens. Who knows? Anyway, that's not the subject of the day. It's a space race. We've just read in the papers, I'm sure you've seen it too, CK, that Richard Branson is going to take a group of people up into the outer atmosphere 9 days ahead of Jeff Bezos. And the papers are full of it, 9 days ahead of Jeff Bezos. This is a race, isn't it? This is one entrepreneur fighting another entrepreneur for bragging rights, to say we are the best, we're out there first, etc., etc., etc. What are your thoughts, CK? Are we back to pure, simple entrepreneurism, or is it something else?
Well, in my opinion, Naval, I think this is how the human mind works. And this race has been going on since 50,000 years. When we encountered Neanderthals in the Europe, the Homo sapiens won, because that is what we do. And this is what we do best. We actually go into an area. We are very inquisitive. We want to know everything about that area. We conquer it. Then we go to the next area. And that is how the humanity survives. So when we are going to space, it's no different. So right now the battle is brewing up between these three guys: Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Mr. Virgin Atlantic, the saviors of the sea. But I think it's a war. I think more will add into it as the technology becomes cheaper and affordable. And I think that's the final frontier we have.
Yeah, it is the final frontier. And I think my thoughts here is we've got three globally recognized what we might call influencers. Entrepreneurs par excellence. Lots of people are being taught in schools about these entrepreneurs out there, the forefront of their field. And yet, these entrepreneurs are not collaborating together, which is another word that's coming out of the COVID arena. More collaboration, more collaboration. How are we going to get out of this pandemic? Through collaboration. And yet we're seeing three people that are doing the antithesis of that, and they are literally competing. And competing for what reason? Now, I've had lots of conversations with several people over the last few days over this issue of entrepreneurship versus collaboration versus whatever. And the word that seems to come out is greed. And I think it's a bit of a shame that this word's coming out, because if greed is the driver here, and let me explain the context of where this greed comes from. Being first, being to take advantage. So let's just look at Xbox and Sony, the PS arena. The two fighting arenas were trying to go against each other and have successfully kept apart. But that is just pure entrepreneurship. This is about one company being bigger and better than the other, doing things that their customers want. And that's on the planet. And they both, promote using scarce resources better, reinvesting in social, environmental issues, etc., etc., etc. So we've sort of come up to believe that that is an okay method of working. But we're talking about the space race here. Several years ago, and I'm sure you remember, because I was avidly watching this international space station come to fruition. It was almost like international rescue to me. It was the Mr. Tracy Thunderbirds coming to life, coming to reality. But it was international rescue, and it's the International Space Station. So this is, by definition, the word collaboration, because it's international. It wasn't everyone around the world, because they couldn't afford to be part of it. But there was this concept of it's an international station, and everyone would have an opportunity, whatever country, creed, religion you come from, you'd have an opportunity to move through that international space station. And I'm focusing on the term international, because that to me is another term for collaboration. But we've got three non-collaborative individuals. And yet, in the public arena, they talk about how to succeed in entrepreneurship through collaboration. So I'm trying to work out what this really means. And because a lot of young people are coming to me and saying, Neville, you talk about collaboration all the time. These guys aren't collaborating. What do you think about that? Well, I've got to be honest, I'm struggling. Because they should be collaborating. This is an expensive arena. And the other thing is, who owns space? One thing we do know about this planet is that we are delineated by country borders. And they extend into the sea. But then there's international waters, which is open for everybody. So there is this concept of there's an area that nobody owns. And we're all responsible for it. Well, what about space? Who owns space? Where are we going to go to in space? If someone starts to put their flag on different planets, what's that actually going to mean? So it's a big subject, frankly, CK. And I haven't got a satisfactory answer for myself, let alone for anybody else. But what do you think about collaboration? Should these guys be collaborating together? Are we just in this sort of maybe phase 1 or even phase 2, now that they've got a flying vehicle, where they will collaborate together? Or are they going to be like Formula 1, where they're going to cover up their cars on the grid when the cars line up to go on each of the Grand Prix? Are we going to get collaboration? What do you think?
Well, Neville, in my opinion, I think this is required. This kind of race is required for the development, because from one point of view, by 2045, internet will become so powerful. It will actually become a large PC. The entire Earth will become a big processing house, and it will be so powerful that every moment there will be new discoveries. So I think, if we do not compete right now in order to reach that level, we will not be able to conquer, or we will not be able to go out and establish our colonies at a faster pace. So I think I sort of agree with what is going on. I mean, if they are competing with each other, they have the resources, they have their own business plans. Nobody's funding them. They are funding themselves. They are getting the contracts signed up by NASA or ESA, a European Space Agency, or ISRO. Maybe we don't know what ISRO will do in future, but I think they're all gearing up. And the Chinese space agencies, I think the next race is going to happen in space, and economy is going to drive this. The resources are, as we know, is depleting on Earth. We cannot go to Antarctica, start digging it, because it will then screw up the entire planet. So we have to go to some place where we can start digging, bringing those ready-made materials out from the space back to Earth without spoiling our planet. So I think that's the plan. And if you look at these three individuals who are the global leaders, and he tell others about collaboration, I think they themselves have done a lot of collaboration in their own business. If you talk about Elon Musk, I think he is doing a lot of collaboration in the solar power generation arena. He is also doing a lot of collaboration in the battery research and development. What he is trying to do right now with SpaceX is that he is trying to create another layer of communication, so that we as humanity move faster. Obviously there is economy, because nobody is going to fund Elon Musk or SpaceX to launch these satellites up in space and still provide the connectivity for free. Jeff Bezos, on the other hand, is gearing up his R&D. In fact, his company is doing a lot of R&D, and that will also impact this future generation of space station, because his R&D is going to be very valuable. Now, if we start collaborating, then whose mind it is going to work? I think that is a question. So if they are competing with each other, that means the progress will be much faster. This is my opinion, Neville.
I think it's a fair opinion, and in some respects, in my silent days, when I'm just sat there in front of the TV thinking, I'm thinking down your route. As we know, trying to get people to collaborate early on in a development is not that easy, especially if you've got different ideas. And I think this is where these three individuals are. And there are others out there doing exactly the same thing. They're all thinking about, this space arena, what they're going to be doing with it, how they're going to be working with it. But I think what's driving them on is that entrepreneurship being first. It's my name on the ship. And let's not bear any bones about it. If it wasn't their name on the ship, why would they be heading it up? They'd be getting someone else to head it up. So there is a lot of, I suppose, personal interest here. But I think it's a necessary process. I think this is almost like a stage 1 or stage 2, where you are looking over your shoulder at the competition as to what they're doing. Remember, the headlines that I said right at the very beginning was Richard Branson goes 9 days before Jeff Bezos. I mean, those were the headlines. Forget the companies involved. It was Richard Branson going 9 days before Jeff Bezos into space, on a jolly, because that's what it is. I don't think there's any experimenting going on, apart from the fact they're just physically going to go up and come down again. And that's what it's all about, I suppose, at the bottom line. It's what drives us. So I think the reason I thought that this was a really good subject today is because it always goes back to, what are we driven by? What's our real purpose? And these guys have got multiple purposes. But actually, if you look at their core purpose, they're all aligned. And it may be making the planet a better place, of which, as you've said already, going into the solar arena, that's definitely on that purpose. Looking at waste materials, which one of them's looking at, that's certainly, on that curve, isn't it? So we need to ask ourselves, what's our purpose? Why are we here? What are we doing? Not easy questions to answer, especially if you're very young, because the world's your oyster. but start defining it now. Start looking at where you would like to go, and then plan a course accordingly and share where you want to go, and other people will help you achieve it. This is a fascinating subject. The race for space, as you and I know, being a little bit older and being, up there when the Apollo missions were going to the moon, and that first step on the moon, one small step, one huge step for mankind, and that's where we are, I suppose. As to your point about we're going to ruin the resources of the planet, I don't think that's the case. I'm not too sure we're going to go and colonize Mars or anywhere else like that just because we're running out of space here. We should be smart enough to utilize our space somewhat better, and recognize that we don't own it. We're not landlords, we're just renters. And we need to be better renters, I think, look after our property a bit better. Anyway, fascinating subject today, CK. The overall message is find your purpose, what drives you, and get after it. And there's always people that can help you do it.
Certainly, Neville. In fact, I wish more and more people get opportunities to get into this race. Why only 3 people? In fact, I would like to participate in this race for a simple reason that we are now 7+ billion people, and the next doubling will happen in less than 20 years. So if you double that, it will be 14 billion. This planet cannot hold 14 billion humans and also provide their needs. So we need to move to different destination. We need to go to different planets, move out, spread into the galaxies, at least start with solar system. And that is why it is very exciting. And when I talk about Earth being turned into a big giant processing computer size of Earth by 2045, it sounds very exciting. So Neville, thank you so much for coming over and discussing this important subject today. We will catch up with you again tomorrow and something more interesting.
Cheerio, CK. Cheerio, everybody. Have fun.
Hello Naveen, how are you?
कैसे हैं आप? I'm fine, thank you so much.
Great, great to see you, Naveen. In fact, our viewers would like to know that you're already running a lot of big industries and well-known industry, and yet you are here on this platform to discuss about your passion, which is grapho analysis, graphotherapy. So, what is graphotherapy? What does it mean?
See, I will put it in 3 parts. Most commonly known part is graphology. Graphology is actually what? It is just basically comparing 2 handwritings, whether they belong to the same person. जो फोरेंसिक डिपार्टमेंट्स होते हैं ना, वहां पर आप देखेंगे कि जैसे बैंक में किसी ने फ्रॉड किया, सिग्नेचर फोर्ज किया, इस तरह के डिटेक्ट करने के लिए ग्राफोलॉजिस्ट होते हैं जो फोरेंसिक साइंस वाले अपॉइंट करते हैं फॉर दिस कोर्ट वर्क एंड डिटेक्टिंग फ्रॉड्स इन बैंक्स एंड ऑल. तो ये ग्राफोलॉजी हो गया. नेक्स्ट इज ग्राफो एनालिसिस, वेयर वी आर ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड द पर्सनैलिटी एंड कैरेक्टर ऑफ अ पर्सन through the strokes in the handwriting. This is grapho analysis, analysis of character and personality. And the third part, which is most important, which is graphotherapy, how you can change the personality of a person through consciously changing some small strokes in your handwriting. ये सबसे amazing part है. If you analyze someone, you just come to know about the person, which he already knows about himself. But how actually you can correct yourself, get over the negative traits, and more effectively use your positive traits. That is where graphotherapy comes into picture.
Well, viewers, many of you may not be aware of this graphotherapy or grapho analysis, and you may feel this is bizarre, but believe me, it is not. And that is why Naveen ji is, very eager to give this information to all of us. And Naveen, I think you talked about analyzing the character of the person. Is it really true? I mean, just by looking at the handwriting, can you really analyze a person? Is it true?
Yes, see, let me tell you, it is a very old science. We have all heard about a well-known Greek scholar, Aristotle. He was one of the first persons about 2000 years ago. He detected a link between the mind and the handwriting. He, in fact, also said that handwriting is actually mind writing. And whatever is there in your mind, it comes out through your hand and through the pen on the paper. So it was something which is very old. Unfortunately, the awareness about this in India is very less. Some countries in Europe and in America, people are already using grapho analysis as a tool for corporate placements. They get handwritten applications from the candidates and they are able to assess the personality of a person even before the interview is done. When they actually do the interview, it will be easier for the employers to take a decision whether the person has a technical bent of mind, what is the level of honesty, what is the level of ambition, willpower, determination. Accordingly, they can decide in which department the person would be best suited. So it's actually a true science. जो आपने पूछा था, it's a proven science. There is no if and but about it. And let me tell you, it is not my profession. If it is just a passion for me and the results were not coming, I would have given up the pursuing of this hobby long back.
Well, I think, Naveen, I fully agree with you because you don't depend on this one. You are CEO of a very big enterprise. You're industrialist, and your brand name is known across India, in fact, across the world. So, coming back to grapho analysis, do you, just for the benefit of the viewers who may be asking for some mathematical analysis around it, so in any science, people say that there is a variance of 5% here and there accuracy parameter. So when you read somebody's handwriting, do you also have some sort of parameter fixing or some sort of analysis which says that, okay, fine, I can give the analysis of this person up to the extent of 95% accuracy, if not 100%. Do you work with this kind of matrix?
See, let me tell you something. This science is 100% accurate. There is no doubt or if and but about it. It depends on how accurately a person is doing the analysis. What is the level of expertise of a person who is analyzing the handwriting? I can make a mistake in the analysis as a human being, but the analysis of the character through the handwriting will be 100% accurate if it is brought out properly. Okay, so there is, you can remove all doubts from your mind that there is a level of accuracy which may be lesser. No, it is 100% accurate and proven science.
Great. So in that case, when you're analyzing somebody's handwriting, you don't really read what is written. You can actually get the analysis done even in other languages. Somebody sends you a document which is written in some sort of a non-English verbiage. You can still be able to analyze that. Is it true, Naveen?
Yes, it's a very valid and important question which you have asked. Ultimately, I don't even read what has been written. It is just the strokes which make the analysis. So when we see the strokes, we can analyze a person. So it can be, as you said, in any language. It can be Hindi, English, French, Arabic, Bengali, anything. But see, there is a limitation to one's knowledge. My knowledge is limited to analysis in ABCD letters only. ABCD means French, German, Latin, wherever we use the letters ABCD, I am able to analyze only those handwritings. But if someone has got a specialization or he has studied how to see the strokes in other languages, the strokes will definitely come. But my limitation is the knowledge about analysis in other languages.
I think fair enough, but with enough experience, people can start analyzing people who can write, who are Russian, who writes Russian. So those people can also be analyzed. And also Chinese, that is totally different language altogether. So point taken, Naveen. Coming back to doing analysis of the character of the human being. As you know, human being is such a crazy character, a crazy animal, I would say. It's very difficult to predict. So in those cases, how do you really pinpoint that this is the character of this person and he will not deviate? Because I will come back to the question that you were talking about the placement in the next one. But this one is very intriguing because how do you place that person into that group of a defined characteristics as per your analysis?
See, normally analysis is first done through the strokes. If you write T in a particular way, the T bar in a particular way, or Y in a particular way, or A in a particular way, every stroke has a meaning. So through the strokes, we are just defining the individual traits. For example, sharp mind, what is the creative ability, or what is the willpower, what is the determination, how well defined the goals are, whether confidence is lacking or boosting with confidence. But these, after you do the individual trait analysis, then we combine all the traits to come to the actual characteristic of a person, that why the person is lacking self-confidence or why they are not able to define the goals. Is there a mental block or is there some depression in the handwriting? So ultimately, the purpose is to first analyze the individual traits, then combine the traits to arrive at the personality, then try to discuss why some negativities are there in that person due to which particular trait. Then during the therapy, we will try to change those particular traits through the strokes in the handwriting.
Okay, so what you're saying is that even if there are some negative traits, they can be fixed, and there is a therapy around it. But let's go back to your previous statement when you said that some of the corporates are already employing this science or this technique to find out the right candidate for themselves and which is the right fit. Now, in such a case, you know that this person is very fit for this job. Say, for example, somebody is very good with handling people. So that person may be suitable for frontline jobs like hiring people or in sales function. But this person doesn't believe that, and he believes that he is fit for a next job. So how do you identify or basically bridge the gap between what the person thinks and what really he is?
See, normally if a person is honest, they will admit that whatever analysis has been done. And ultimately, the purpose of analysis is self-improvement. If someone tries to say that, no, you are wrong, just because he's trying to defend himself, it is not helping anyone. He is only trying to deceive himself. So annual analysis will definitely be 100% accurate. As I said, it is up to the person how he takes it, positively or negatively. In fact, in one of the sessions in Gwalior, someone told me that, look, you are explaining all the strokes on the board by telling this stroke means this stroke means this. So when I give you a handwriting, I will change on the strokes accordingly. I said, that's very good. You can change the strokes. But whom are you trying to help or fool? You are just fooling yourself, and you are ignoring a help to yourself to get over the negative traits.
Well, that was a great example, Naveen. I think you're trying to help you, so you're not helping yourself. So I think going back to your previous statement about hiring the right candidate, I have one last question basically on this subject, and that is, once you are like 20 years experience and your career is already shaped, in your job, etc. But to the core, you don't want to be in that job. You just started that job because you got a job when you were young, and then you grew in that line of business. But heart to heart, you are not that person. And if your handwriting can reveal that this person is meant not to be doing this activity, he is meant to be a trainer, or he is meant to be a painter or something like that. How do you place that person, or how do you tell him that, hey, you have come for this job, but you're not fit for this job? Whereas he has been doing that job for last 20 years. He is fit as per the resume is concerned, but as per his writing, he is not fit for the job. So how do you reconcile with that person, or how do you reconcile with the situation itself?
Yeah, this is a very common issue. People come to me for analysis. I can see in the strokes that they have a lot of creativity, but they are not using their creativity. Talents are being wasted. Then we can see strokes of maybe depression or maybe resentment also, that the person is resenting something inside. What the resentment can be that, okay, I wanted to become a musician, or I wanted to become an artist, but I was forced to do engineering because people in the family told me there is no career in painting or in singing or whatever. So they had to forcefully go through what their family was telling them. And then those strokes of resentment and regret, they built up. Creativity not being used, they became reserved. These are very common examples of clients who are coming to me. So in fact, when you analyze someone, the purpose is to help the person. Maybe if the talents are not being used, at least the talent should be used, and making a profession is a totally different subject. Of course, the handwriting helps to define in which area the person might be more suitable. Person having engineering abilities may be more fit in a technical side. A person who is very meticulous and very habit of going in details will be fit for an accounts person. And of course, honesty is the main thing in employing someone in the accounts department. And then engineering abilities is very good for people in the technical side. So all these we will be able to analyze through the handwriting accurately and suggest to the person which job will probably be best suited for them.
Well, I think this is so interesting, and more I talk to you, more I get intrigued about this science. Maybe I think this is a science which should be taught in the school, so that people know exactly what they are doing and whom they are working with, who are their peers, who is their boss, etc. I think it's a very vast subject, but we will cover that in the next session. And you also talked about the therapy, which is also very, very critical, because having understood what are my weaknesses, I should be able to correct them. Any last point that you want to make for our viewers today, Naveen?
No, in fact, I just wanted to share with you that I have been invited by a college in Calcutta next month. This is NSHM college. They are serious about keeping a teaching course on graphotherapy in their institute. So they have called me for an introductory session. just to make people aware, especially to the management and the faculty, what this science is about. And being a unique subject, and I don't think till now anyone has taken up a course of teaching in any of the institutes, this will be a good opportunity for students, teachers, as well as for me to have a very new and good experience.
Well, Naveen, we wish you all the best. And we are very excited to know this because one of the institute has taken the first step towards starting this as a science. And in the beginning of the program, you mentioned that the awareness about this in India is slightly low. So I think this is the right time to get started on this. So wish you all the best, Naveen. And I'd like to say goodbye for today, only to catch you in the next one.
Right. My pleasure to you. Thank you so much.
So friends, did you hear what Naveen has to tell you? If you have if you want to do something and you don't know where to start, this is the time, and you can know exactly what is your hidden talent. And if you want to get a review done, you can contact us. We will make the connection happen between you and Naveen, and you can take it forward from there. So Naveen will then tell you what is required to do analysis and also subsequent therapy. But this is a series where we will talk about how therapy helps, what kind of cases are there. So this is evolving into a very good series. Don't miss sessions about this, and we will bring more and more knowledge on graphotherapy. So friends, I'd like to say goodbye today, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Hello friends, this is Chandrakant from Akulmak, and today we would like to discuss about how do we bounce back into business. And this is a very, very important subject. To discuss this further and to take advice, let me invite my friend from UK, Mr. Mike Bradley. He is the Chief Strategy Officer of Scale Up Arena, and he works globally. He has organizations and clients and partners world over. So I think he's the best person to discuss on this subject. So without further ado, let me present Mr. Mike Bradley.
Good afternoon, good day, Chandra. Good to see you again, as always.
Yes, by the way, it's your birthday also. So from all of us in India, from Akulmak, we wish you many happy returns of the day.
Dhanawad.
That's awesome. And you remember this word, dhanyavad?
I do indeed. Bahutacha. The one I can remember, or the three words.
Okay. So, Mike, I think the world is struggling because of the pandemic. Everyone is in the same boat, whether you are a large organization or you are a SME or you are a solopreneur or anybody, you are in the same boat. We are all in the same boat. And now
indeed.
with vaccination drive is kicking in, at least in a few countries to start with now. And soon it will become a global phenomena. So that means at least few variants of COVID will not trouble us. But I think there will be more to worry about. But I think we will protect at least 50% of the world. So now we need to discuss about how do we bring our economy back? How do we create our business from the scratch? What we should do? Would you like to throw some light on this subject?
I've got opinions. Hopefully it will be seen as light. Obviously, economies are all connected. There is a sense in which all businesses all over the world are living entities, and we interact with each other, much like the natural world. We're all part of a global economic ecosystem. And within that environment, each entity is a key worker. because we all have to do our best, generate energy, generate sustenance for the economies that we all work within, and whether that be geographic based, whether that be sector based, whether it be size based, we are all actually key workers in pulling back these economies from the brink of, let's face it, pretty much disaster. Our own Chancellor in the UK did his budget speech yesterday, and I think, it was one of the toughest budgets apparently that we've had for 50 years, they were saying, because COVID has, taken every economy by the throat and giving it a good shake. So we definitely have to all work together, in my view, to support our economic ecosystems, whatever they are. We're probably members of lots of different ones at the same time.
So I think the reason for Scale Up Arena becoming very popular globally, if it is Africa, India, China, I think your platform is bringing a lot of businesses together. And I think it is one of these ethos of working together that you are trying to bring. Would you like to give our viewers a little bit a flavor of how we can work together?
I think the important thing is with the whole global economic ecosystem, and within that our own sectors and sizes of operation, is that we all have to, a bit like the Three Musketeers. I don't know if you know that in India, the Three Musketeers, all for one and one for all. We all actually have to succeed, but in order to succeed, we all need each other. And the whole ethos of the ecosystems, the online digital presence that we have, is that we help each other to succeed through the abilities to connect, collaborate, communicate, and also to close businesses together, to close business, because ultimately that's what we're all going to have to do to recover from this COVID economic vacuum that we find ourselves in. Vacuum being a gentle word for something that we're all in, economic chaos. But I think in order to do that there are certain areas that we have to focus on, because the post-pandemic world cannot return to what it was pre-pandemic for all sorts of reasons. So there are a number of things that I think are important that we change. One of them is we have to, and I like alliteration, so apologies for this, I smash the silos. In the public sector, we have this idea that we do this. In the quangos, we think we do that. In the telecoms, we think we do this. But actually, what we all need to do is work together and break down those barriers that say, oh, well, we can't do this because you're not the same as us. So in order to optimize the opportunities across all organizations and structures, we must get rid of this mentality of blinkered mentality, because we're missing opportunities, whether it be, oh, well, we can't see outside our state, we can't see outside our country, we can't see outside our sector, because actually we're all interrelated. So I think the first thing we have to do is get rid of that silo mentality and think, actually, we've all got to pull together here. The next one, the first couple are a bit negative. The next one is banish the bureaucracy. Get rid of the red tape, because actually we're in a fast-moving, competitive, dynamic world. And if we impose red tape on enterprise in that environment, we're actually not going to make it thrive, not going to make it profitable and generate taxes. What we're going to do is, in effect, governments are cutting off the arm that feeds them. We need to simplify bureaucracy, make it as online as possible, as simple as possible. A lot of tax collection can be done electronically. The amount of paper filling we need to do can be reduced vastly, and it's far more effective that our businesses spend 80% of their time selling and optimizing their potential rather than 80% of their time filling out a tax return or ensuring that, oh, this bit of money stays in the country, because actually what we need is to generate funds in all directions and not have these bureaucratic situations. And another one I think is really important, and a post-pandemic particularly has changed this culture, is we need to cease city centre-centric commuting, because commuting takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of resource, it means that we spend a lot of money on infrastructure. And what we've all learned, I think, in this pandemic is that actually we don't need to spend 2 to 4 hours a day traveling to an office. We can actually work just as efficiently when we're working locally, maybe in a local working hub, maybe working from home, whichever your preference is. It's not saying you don't meet together, but it's saying that when you do meet together, let's do that more efficiently and effectively rather than sitting in an office with a lukewarm, rather distasteful cup of coffee. Maybe it's the opportunity to go to a hotel, to go to a nice facility, spend quality time together with the team or with your clients, rather than insisting they come into a rather bland, expensive situation with a lot of travel time and cost. There's a few of the negatives that we need to change. I don't know what you think about those.
Well, I think I fully agree with you, Mike, for making these very important points. I have one very peculiar question. I think all the governments are now trying very, very hard to bring their economy back. Even the developed countries are having, like, for example, in your budget also, you might have seen, and you already mentioned that it is one of the most difficult budget that you have seen in the past. And most of the governments are now going towards protectionism or localization. Although we are more global than ever, and it was a wretched virus which came and taught us all. So I think we are at a place where we just need to get a little nudge so that people start really becoming global. I mean, we have been saying global for last, I've been hearing this word global for last, 30 years. But, I think for the first time, we are truly global, even though the governments are moving towards localization. How do you
Yes.
see Scale Up Arena filling these spaces in such a situation?
Well, I think one of the positive points is I think we've realized that we can go for global growth without having, again, to travel. Just like commuting, we don't have to go for a week to this particular place and spend thousands of dollars or pounds or rupees or dirhams in a hotel to do business and have a couple of meetings whilst we're there. What we can actually do is spend a lot of our time working virtually, presenting, having people from all over the world on calls, on webinars, on briefings about new technologies, about opportunities, about trading, about joint ventures and partners. We can do all of this stuff remotely. It doesn't mean we don't want to meet. Of course we want to meet. I'm looking forward to that curry we're going to enjoy in Delhi one day, Chandra, but we can do that on a less frequent basis. It doesn't have to be the thing that starts our opportunity to work together. It's the thing that complements our working together. So we can do the remote working, we can deploy and deliver digitally, we can go global working with local people in country. And if by having less red tape, having less protectionism, it means that companies are more likely to say, actually, I'm going to open a subsidiary in India because I don't have to worry about losing my cash on withholding taxes. What we should be doing is actually saying, how can we ensure that foreign companies want to come and invest here, work here, employ here, without being penalized by greedy, dare I say it, by greedy approaches to withdrawing their own cash back out of the company. I think that's a really very negative approach that is taken, which doesn't help. The Scale Up Arena helps in the fact that we have a global platform with the ability for people to showcase, to train, to educate in their new innovations, in their products, in their services, in their capabilities. Also for potential investors, potential growing businesses to find each other, interact with each other, and then trade and do business together. So, that's the whole ethos of Scale Up Arena, is it brings people together to generate energy, to generate sustainable deals together. So I think the whole ethos of Scale Up Arena and the other ecosystems for different sectors is all about making those interactions work, making it work on a global and digital basis, even if it is building roads out of plastic in Delhi, or it's reducing pollution by using rubbish and turning that into electricity. The technology can be deployed locally. And the great news with that is it can generate revenue and business for the economy and for enterprises locally, and it generates employment, and it raises everybody's quality of living.
Yes, Mike. And one particular question which is running in my mind with respect to the Indian businesses here. Let's say if there are tech companies here in India looking for tech partners in other countries, how Scale Up Arena, I mean, you can go step by step, what is the first step, so that, our viewers knows exactly how Scale Up Arena is different from other forums that they have to go through. And one thing I understand is that if I join Scale Up Arena, you can actually reach a lot of people in one shot. I mean, one thing is very clear: you can reach people in UK, Africa, Japan, China, everywhere. So I think, but I would like to hear from you step by step what happens, so that people can.
Yeah. So if you're an Indian company wanting to reach the global markets, the first thing you could do is come along to a session that we run once a week called a Why Join. And we take people through what's it all about, how can you optimize it, why is it there, what's the philosophy behind it. And then we encourage people to come on board to sign up. And we've got a special offer for people who are coming through Akumak. If there are SMEs that want to join or interested in joining Scale Up Arena, we run a Why Join Scale Up Arena session. And then if they sign up, we will give them a 20% discount on the usual engagement fee if they mention Akumak and they come via the Akumak route. So that is a great opportunity for them to then get part of the ecosystem, become part of the online meetings, the online mechanisms for sharing blogs, creating courses, creating product service entries, sharing those out through the social media channels. Who knows, even maybe coming back onto Akumak and saying, find our entry on Scale Up Arena, which is the great opportunity, of course, to broadcast that not just into India, but into Africa, America, all the different places, the Middle East, Australia, UK, and Europe as well. So it's a great opportunity for SMEs to do that. The other area that we can really help organizations is for the multinationals, the larger organizations who are looking for ways to differentiate moving forward in the future. We're on the homepage of scaleuparena.com. There is find a solution for your multinational. So if you are there and you're thinking, we need to improve the way we service our customers, the way we do our manufacturing, the way we do our artificial intelligence or our client loyalty programs or our cybersecurity or our payment management, go in there and free of charge, you can click, enter a little summary as to what you're looking for. And we will then matchmake that with the innovators and the advisors and the experts that we have at the back and try and bring together a solution. Costs nothing. We've got a network of people with, let's say, 10,000 years worth of expertise and experience in business. That's a lot of hours. So we've got that resource free of charge to help the SMEs and the multinationals, the large organizations, to optimize the future, the post-COVID world.
Absolutely. This is so interesting because as we move towards the gig economy, even the big brains behind the data and machine learning will be available through Scale Up Arena to large organizations. So
yeah. And I think with the gig economy as well, what we're looking at is we're looking at the ability to optimize the expertise of people on a more affordable and realizable basis, geared to results, because you don't need somebody full-time. You could take somebody on a project basis or a time size basis to utilize their expertise in that particular challenge. And then you can have somebody else to help you with the next one, be it strategy, be it marketing, be it finance, be it funds. So you can bring that blend together, a bit like an a la carte menu of services, depending on what you actually need for your business at that time. The other area I think is really important that we haven't talked about in this post-COVID situation is we need to recognize the potential of the emerge-up companies, not the startups who, we all know what a startup is. They've got a very, they go to the bank, they have a long conversation. I'm planning to do this business. And the bank manager gets you to sign a piece of paper and then says, I'll send you a debit card and you can start your business with us. Then there's the scale-ups, which have 3 years of 20% year-on-year growth and 10 employees at the start of the process. So they're a well-defined group. But in the gap, mind the gap, as they used to say on the London Tube, underground, mind the gap, because the gap is where the energy is. The scale-ups make up 60-70% of all the revenue from SMEs. So they're important. But the ones that are going to be the next scale-ups, generate the most jobs, generate the most revenue, profit, tax returns, are going to be the emerge-ups. And they are typically characterized by a shortage. They're short of the working capital they need. They're short of the time to deploy as many clients as they could. They're short of resource to go into international markets. They're short maybe of expertise in a particular field because they can't afford to take someone full time. That is the market which we have to support. So we've got to energize those emerge ups. And I think in this post-COVID bounce back better environment, we have to recognize that they previously have been largely unsupported, and we need to support those emerge ups as we move forwards, because in 3 years' time there'll be the scale ups.
So I think this is an amazing story. The Scale Up Arena provides a lot of synergy for SMEs as well as enterprises world over to come together and work together across the level. I think it's an amazing story, and it's an amazing platform. So the good news for Akulmac viewers is that if you use Akulmac as a promo code, you will get 20% discount. So I urge you to explore scaleup.com and leverage their presence, global presence, find clients, find merger opportunities, merge up basically with other SMEs, and also funding probably. So I think the possibilities are immense. So with this,
They are indeed.
yes, absolutely, Mike. I think I'm quite excited, and viewers of this program must leverage this excellent offer. And I think this is one of the very good method of bouncing back with economy.
Fantastic. Absolutely. I mean, to reach out to us with that code, all you need to do is go to contact us on the homepage of scaleuparena.com, or you could just send an email to info@scaleuparena.com. And if I get flooded out with requests from India and Asia Pacific, fantastic. We'll look forward to hearing from them.
Absolutely, Mike. And once again, wish you many happy returns. And it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
I mean, you found time to talk to us today with this very important subject, even though it's supposed to be your off day. So thank you so much. And we will catch up in the next edition with you next week.
Look forward to it, Chandra. Have a great day and a pleasure to talk to you as always.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant from Assimilate Technologies, and welcome to the roundtable, weekly roundtable that we have. And let me quickly invite our guest, our panelists. First is Ms. Farida Charania from Singapore. She is the CEO of Career Zoom.
Hi.
Second is Ms. Kanchan Verma. She is the CEO of Assimilate Technology. She joins us from India.
Hello.
And finally, last but not the least, my friend from London, Mr. Neville Gund. He is the chairman of MindFit Limited.
Good morning, everybody.
So good morning. And today's topic is basically the job situation. And as we all know and concur that the global job situation has completely changed, and the old jobs are not being asked for. The reskilling has been a major subject of discussion today. So the point for us to discuss and probably inform the people and our viewers about the types of jobs now available and the types of jobs that employer needs today. So without further ado, with this topic for discussion, let me invite Farida. Farida, you work with a lot of companies world over, and you are in the business of recruitment. So I think you are the best person to take this as a first question. What is the type of jobs now available globally post-COVID?
Sure. I'm just going to kind of, talk about the sectors which were impacted negatively and then the sectors which are impacted positively. So sectors which are negatively impacted and might take a very long time to come back to the pre-COVID era are tourism, transport, retail, and hospitality. And sectors which actually kind of started getting impacted positively are e-commerce, digital media and entertainment, video conferencing services, health and wellness, healthcare, e-learning, supermarkets, delivery logistics, warehousing, storage, e-commerce, pharmaceuticals, robotics, streaming, and again, the video conferencing services, etc. So now when we look at the sectors which are impacted positively, let's pick up a few skills which I see very often with my clients and they kind of look for. First of all, they look for flexibility. So flexibility means that someone who's done a certain type of job in a certain environment, is that person flexible enough to actually do it in a different environment? Like for instance, is it very necessary for this person to be sitting in office and doing their work, or they are okay to do it from anywhere, like the way world is today? Technical skills, definitely, because everything that was real estate is now digital assets. So definitely technical skill. Data analysis, because that's a very very important portion of anything that is done in the e-commerce, or anything that has a digital layer. Critical thinking, because someone who can actually take a thing and very easily transform into a b thing, and is able to actually very quickly adapt, is a skill that is a skill that employers definitely look for. And of course, digital and coding skills and emotional intelligence, because it's not very easy to work in isolation. So these are skills, soft skills and hard skills, that I see very often my clients looking for.
Okay, great. So I think now we have a clarity in terms of what type of skills are now required by the companies world over. And let me invite Mr. Naval Gund. Naval, actually, you work with a lot of youngsters, a lot of middle management people, giving them training. Your company is, always engaged in many such sorties across the world with many countries. What is your opinion on this subject?
Well, as Farida was mentioning there, it's a long list as ever. It's a huge list. And if we can pull the fragments out of that list that have been important forever, but now all of a sudden they're rising to the top. It's a bit like, we've had lots of milk and here's the cream. And this cream has taken a little bit of time to rise to the top. And we're talking about, fundamentally, we're talking about good soft skills, because these are traditionally what they call transferable skills. Empathy, how to be a good leader, which is somewhat different from empathy, as people seem to be calling it. How to be a good communicator, how to work in a team. These aren't technical specific issues. These are global issues that we need to get over. And then we've got this massive change. COVID has done one thing. It's taken all of the traditional homes for, well, if I can't get a job here, I'll go into hospitality. There's always been a job in hospitality, no matter where you are, whether it's flipping burgers or it's waiting on tables or it's the maitre d'. There's always been a job in hospitality until today. As Farida said, this one is going to be probably the longest one that will return to some sort of normality. And even then, the job will change, because even before that, the digital arena had come into some restaurants where you literally just sit at your table and you press bits on your table, and actually you're doing the ordering on your table, or maybe on an app. So things are changing quite fundamentally. And I'm going to go back to the very first thing that Farida said, adaptability. We've got to learn to be adaptable. We're not very adaptable, frankly. And people that are looking for jobs are looking for jobs in the old way. I'm an electrical engineer at university. I'm looking for an electrical engineering job. Well, it may not be there. So what else are you going to look for? So that narrow issue, we need to be adaptable. So what skills have I got? We need to ask ourselves the question. I may be technically developed to be a mathematician or a physicist or something, but I need now to know what those skills could do somewhere else. And the obvious place, actually, is teaching. People are rushing back into teaching because now that's becoming a home for the graduate professional. Never thought of teaching before, but now they're thinking of teaching now. But again, you know, teaching, you can't just, because you got a degree in engineering, you can't just go stand up in front of a class and start teaching, because guess what? It's here. It's digital teaching. And we all know that that's a different arena. So I'm going to focus on this word adaptability, really, because if we don't adapt to the circumstances of today, because they're not going to go back to what yesterday was. So we need to be future focused. So I think my word for the day, word for this session, is adaptability. I've nicked it from Farida.
Great. So I think learning from two great leaders, the job scenario is completely changed. And obviously the jobs are created by the university. I mean, the skills are created by the universities so that jobs can be fulfilled. But those jobs which universities are teaching, education institutes are teaching, are no longer applicable. So let me ask this question from Kanchan, because she works with the universities and education institutes. Are these pillars of our education doing enough to create new skills so that the new jobs which are available now can be filled?
Yeah, I will be answering this question a bit later, but I would like to express a few finer points from July 2020. There is a rise in job in terms of Indian market, because there are some jobs in media, there are some jobs in railways, there are some jobs in education. So there's a little rise in job situation, and even pass out students can opt for government jobs like police, though currently in some part of India police is in question, but other part of states and cities, they can opt for this job. Now coming to the question is that definitely the new skills are required, because one skill which is not taught is flexibility. The second skill which is not taught in school is team building and communication. And as communication also, there are a few classes in few schools, they are teaching communication, but not as a hard skill, which is very much required, not only in India, but across the world. So these few skills are required, a part of technical knowledge, where student is taught maybe coding, but he should be good in maths also. If one student is good in maths, he should also be good in doing online drawing, or maybe something like Doodle, where he can express, I can make these images and incorporate in presentation that gives a kind of substantial rise in the career. And apart of this, I also feel that though jobs are available, as one of the companies like Tata company a few weeks back said that firing will not solve the problem. So in this case, companies are also adjusting themselves, and they have come to the conclusion that firing will not help, because we need manpower to really pursue whatever manufacturing or servicing business are going on. So now companies are also realizing, and what I feel is that now companies are hiring people with multiple skills. And in colleges and in schools, I think this is a high time when these skills should be taught, so that we can take up smart professionals and hire good employees for the company for the progress.
So thank you, Kanchan. So as far as my knowledge goes about the market here, by and large, I feel that the jobs which are available now are in 3 to 4 categories, where jobs are still available in abundance. And those categories are communication. So if you are a smart communicator, there is a job for you in the market. Companies are looking for these smart communicators. If you are in AI, then the jobs are available, because there are a lot of work happening in AI. The humans will be eventually replaced by AI in some of these mundane jobs, and there is a lot of development happening in that area. And the first job is in terms of transformation, because with all these transformation, the organization also required specialists who can actually take the organization on this path. So it's very easy to say that, hey, the world has changed, it's new normal, but who's going to take that new normal ahead without disrupting the business as much as possible? So these are the three different jobs which are in high demand at this point in time. So I leave the floor open to take your comments on this.
I'll take this. So I'm just going to pick up from where CK was just talking about. Let me try to give it some kind of a structure. Whatever the future brings, the workers who adapt will remain the most relevant. So what do we take away from this? Adapt. Now, skills, communication, for instance, like CK was mentioning. So we are talking about customer relations. AI, so you're talking about digital skills, coding, software programming, then soft skills, like Kanchan was mentioning, emotional intelligence, flexibility, digital marketing. These are all skills which are necessary to stay globally relevant. And because of the higher unemployment or people working fewer hours, the impact of pandemic has been felt on all jobs to more or less extent in all countries. Now, where when someone is looking for a job, what is it that we will recommend? So I have a few recommendations here. That firstly, focus on finding a job where you can work remotely, because that could be an important decision to make when you apply for your next role. Again, if you're looking for a job while the sudden spikes of the COVID-19 pandemic remain a risk in general population, it becomes very, very crucial that you look for something where you can work remote or you can work from home. Even if you have to change your sector, uh, don't consider it a permanent move, because COVID is not here forever, but it's going to be there for some time. And once things recover, maybe some years down the line, your preferred industry could make a strong resurgence and could come back as well. But at this point in time, it's very important to focus very carefully on here and now. It is perhaps sensible to look carefully at positions that offer short to medium term security, at least, so you can ride out the worst of the pandemic. And that may mean freelance working somewhere else, or finding a temporary contract to keep you on track for the rest of 2020. So, having said that, the pain is there and it's not going to be all hunky dory. But when you start looking for, jobs, try to look for positions which are either freelance opportunities, opportunity to work from home, and, a structure or a product that can thrive despite of social distancing. That would be my recommendation.
We can't hear you, Kenshin. You need to put your volume on. Still can't hear you, I'm afraid. Sorry. Maybe it's Chandra that needs to turn his volume on.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay,
That's
fine.
it.
Can you hear me now? Can.
Oh, we've lost you again. You see Chandra creeping back in. You can't hide with this, It's live.
Yes, I've corrected the problem which was with the mic. So Kanchan, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying that I fully agree with Farida, but I think especially in the context of India, there is around 75% rise, 95,000 jobs are available, especially in government sector, like railways, like banks and finance. So I think people who are opting for government jobs, they have a lot of opportunities. But yes, somebody who wants to go in private sector, they must have skills which are required, that is emotional intelligence, emotional well-being, and of course a flexibility of working.
Yeah, I think the what we're seeing, and certainly Farida's mentioned it. You know, there are jobs available, and the key thing here is, I think Chandra, you said AI. AI is big business, but the interesting thing, AI, as far as I can see, they need programmers, they need strategists. So unless you have a particular skill in that arena, you there's a lot of retraining that you might have to do to get into the jobs that are currently available. So this is a bit of being smart. The nice thing we've got is something called Google. We can always Google it. What skills are needed for this? What skills are needed for that? This person has said it's these skills. What does that mean? So if you don't understand necessarily the job descriptions that are out there, do some research. You know, if you're looking for a job, you have plenty of time on your hands. The time now is to be very focused in what you're doing. Not to say, I must have a job, I need a job, because that little gremlin that you have in the back of your head somewhere will constantly be nagging away every single time you look at the screen and you're trying to focus. So you need to be laser focused now onto what skills you've got, and then go and trial search. You know, as I say, Google is a brilliant place. You can list down a number of items with a comma after it, and all of a sudden you'll get all the news headlines from what's being said about all of those particular subjects. So this is the time, I think, for those that are struggling in this arena, is to start focused and getting some very good research around you. Remember, the job you're looking for could actually be outside your front door, but it might be, you know, halfway around the earth. It could be 10, 12,000 miles away in a digital arena. A lot of the words that Chandra was saying, there's jobs in communication. Communication is a huge word. And you need to understand what communication is. That's not telecoms, you know, that's not being, you know, plug and play and sticking things into PCs. It's how to communicate your message. A marketeer, you know, there are plenty of jobs in marketing, and all of these marketeers are very good at translating the message that's currently being said into a message that people understand. So you're putting the company directly in touch with their customer base. So now's the time not to be worried about it, not to be panicked about it, because neither of those two things are going to help you. You need to get your mind in the right place, set aside a certain amount of time of day, and whatever you do, don't do it as I see a lot of graduates do. They sit in front of a PC for 6 hours, constantly researching and researching and researching. Now, I'm nearly 62 years old. I don't sit in front of a PC for 6 hours. I'm tired after about 25 minutes of very focused type of research. And I'm no different to anybody else. So take breaks, you know, have a glass of water by the side of your PC. Do the simple things, you know, use a diary, set a timer. If you haven't got a timer, if you're using your mobile for all this searching and you can't put the timer on there, then get another timer. Go into the kitchen and set the timer on the oven so that, you know, it beeps away at you. There are lots of ways you can get around this issue, you know, and stop saying I can't and start saying I can. Because there's opportunity for you if you, and I'm going to pinch this word again, I'm afraid, if you're adaptable. And the sad thing is, not many people are. And that's why, if you are adaptable, I will guarantee you'll get a job. Because there are plenty of jobs out there.
So I think the first thing that people need today is basically understand what is the reality. and adapt to it. So I think, you don't want to be like a ostrich, bury your head and not look at the reality around. So I think the reality is very, very clear that the jobs which were available earlier are not available now. And what is new, as Neville said, a job may be 12,000 miles away from your location. So I think time has come to really become digital, find out what are the jobs which are there. For instance, let me throw some examples. If you look at the media business, that was such a thriving business world over, and different kinds of media being sold by everyone, news to entertainment to movies to anything else, and people makes billions of dollars out of this revenue. In fact, it is one of the biggest grosser of the industry anywhere in the world. What has happened now? There are no new movies in the theaters because the artists have not gone for recording because there is COVID lockdown everywhere. So where will you shoot the new movies? So I think there is a gap. People still need to be entertained. How they get entertainment? There is a digital arena which can be used. So the media can be simply shift from that place to the digital space. So I think this is where the opportunities are. uh, there are a lot of opportunities in the marketing arena. There are a lot of opportunities in influencers because the old way of advertising is gone. There is no advertisers now looking at the content because the content is not there at all. The old type of content, the new content, that means new advertisers are coming in. So you need to create the new content, become an influencer, become a good marketeer, digital marketeer, become a media professionals, become an AI, become data scientist, become a transformation expert, or become a good communicator. So I think these are the opportunities which are available in abundance. What do you guys have to say about this?
I think I'll pick this up here. When you talk about artificial intelligence, it's a very broad umbrella, and people start getting worried, oh, my job is going to go away. So, the World Economic Forum actually predicts that about 75 million jobs will be displaced with AI. But at the same time, 133 million new jobs will be created because, end of the day, a machine can do repetitive tasks. At least in my knowledge, I don't think that it will replace humans. It will augment human life. It will augment the human experience. It will take away the work which is very repetitive, monotonous, admin. It will take away that work and give the user data which is actually mined in the proper format for them to take actions. So basically, jobs are not going away. Robots are not going to become they are not going to kind of take away your job. They are perhaps going to help you to make better decisions, to do things which you can do much better if you are engaged. It will not take away the human touch at all. At least I don't think so. Maybe I'm old, but I don't think it's going to happen, at least in the next 50 years or what. So the thing is that there are opportunities. Yes, of course, the pay scales probably have gone down because every industry has suffered. And then, the way you actually deliver your services also changed. Like Chandra was just now mentioning, that entertainment is kind of moved because movies are not being released in theaters. You see all of them being released on OTT platforms. Influencers, yes, advertising is changed completely. In fact, yesterday somebody presented a strategy to me, and it's an advertising firm, so it's actually a PR firm, and they presented a strategy. And I think they've had a very steep learning curve because they have realized that if they give me 100,000 budget and $100,000 of budget, and if they give me the same things which everybody else was doing 6 months ago, I'm just going to listen to them out of respect but not do anything about it. So they came back with some very smart strategies, which was using some of these influencers to actually drive the message, use soft power to attract people, use inbound rather than outbound. So I think that world is changing, and definitely if the individual is adaptable, again I'm going to take my word back, if you can adapt to lead, there are a lot of opportunities for you.
You're absolutely right, and the thing is, I'm gonna pinch it again, but don't worry about that. You mentioned the I think the critical part here that we need people to focus on is that Farida's absolutely right. For every job that AI will take, and remember, it's taking the repetitive jobs away. And we know something about repetition. It's boring. You know, who wants to be boring? You know, if anyone's listening to this and want to be boring, just don't listen to anything else we're going to say, because no one wants to be boring and no one wants to listen to someone that's boring. And that's what robots are there for. AI is a robot. It is doing repetitive tasks that somebody's programmed. So for every job that's taken away, which I say, tick that box, let's get rid of them very quickly, there's probably at least 2, if not 3, that will replace that job. The issue is, the likelihood is, it will be at a more technical level. So I think something that we need to realize is we need to become a bit more technically minded. Now, that might just be using an app in the way the app's designed. So you don't have to go on a university course to be technically minded. You just have to Google something and find out what you need to know to have the sufficient technical skills to get ahead of the curve. There used to be a phrase in business many years ago, and it was about consultants. A good consultant is only there because they're half an hour better than the staff. And if you think about that, you know, I see Farida's laughing there, and Chandra's trying to break a smile, because we've all been consultants and we've all hired consultants. And that's really what a consultant's just ahead of the curve. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for someone just ahead of the curve. It might be a long curve or a short curve, but the point is, that's why they're a consultant. That's why they're the expert. And we will always need experts. The more AI comes in, the bigger requirement there will be for specialists. So if you really enjoy something that you're doing, become the specialist in that particular part. And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a plumber, an architect, a sculptor, just become the expert. And just picking up what Farida said, this influencer arena, ironically, I was told that I'm one of 100 top influencers in the world in a particular subject. I've no idea why that's the case, and it doesn't really bother me. But the point is, if you get to an influencer, understand what they're saying and what they're doing, and be the influencer in your specific arena. Because we're crying out for specialists. And the more specialist you become, the easier the jobs will be that are coming out there. You may even create a new area that people haven't thought of before. And then be happy and drive hard on it. Be very focused and enjoy it. One word that as the older we get, the more important this word becomes. You know, I love my job. What does that mean? Because if you don't love it, get another one. Simple as that, really.
To
I
add
would like
that
to share.
there are
Sorry,
jobs.
go ahead.
There are jobs, and job seeker need not to worry. Just enhance their skills and be positive and have flexibility and adaptability. So they will get job of their choice.
Okay, so I like to just share a funny incident from yesterday. Somebody reached out to me and said, I'd like to have a chat with you. And I know the person, so I said, okay, let's talk. And they actually told me that they are offering a second opinion. So that person has actually made it their business. So they are offering a second opinion for a queen. Quite a novel idea, and initially I laughed, but I was actually thinking, yes, I mean, it is lonely at the top.
It's very smart. It's very smart.
Yes, and it is fairly lonely at the top. I don't have anyone to, kind of bounce my thoughts off, because mostly people are going to agree with me if I talk to my team. And I mean, I respect this person, so I wouldn't mind paying to take a second opinion. So people can get very creative and they can find some niches in there. So I'm just saying that the sky is the limit. We are very fortunate to be in a digitally enabled world where we can actually, give our services online. You could be sitting thousands of miles away and still be able to do work for somebody that far away from you. So well, I mean, it's not that, this the impact is really serious with this pandemic, but some good will come out of it, because very overrated stuff like brick and mortar is definitely becoming passé. So there would be opportunities, and yes, if you need a second opinion, I can do it for a fee.
I think someone might call that coaching, but maybe coaching is a bit historic, but a second opinion. I've heard of people that are offering second opinions, and it made me laugh, because immediately I thought, well, that's a real interesting gimmick. And of course, that's what you've got to do to get into the market these days. You've got to have a gimmick. You've got to have, as someone might have said years ago, you've got to have an angle to get in, bit of leverage. There's all these wonderful words in the dictionary that we can utilize, but fundamentally, we've all got it. It's about time we start to use it.
So great. I think we had a very good conversation today, and learning from the leaders like yourself. It has been a great value to our viewers. I'm sure they will be able to change their job scenario, take some of these tips that we have discussed today, and find the reskilling opportunities for themselves and find appropriate job for themselves. So with this message, I would like to end this discussion today, and I'd like to thank you, all of you, Farida, Kanchan, and Neville. Thanks for your input, and we will catch up next Friday.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy Halloween.
Bye.